Given your real world profession as a vet, what is the greatest Disney dog ever?
Max from The Little Mermaid. I mean, you can't help but love him. He's so happy.
But grooming costs for a dog like that.
I didn't say I wanted to own it. He's my favorite.
He doesn't slobber.
Meh. Occupational hazard.
Hang on, Snoopy, Snoopy, hang on. Hang on, Snoopy, Snoopy, hang on.
Hey everybody, welcome to another video series for Believe Vacations, inviting you to be a believer with us. I'm Brian Pavlik, and today, have you ever pictured being a photographer at Disney? Ooh, see what I did there? You're in for a treat, because I have with me one of my just genuine friends on this team, Kim Hague, and Kim is going to talk with us about how to take photos at Disney. Kim, what's going on today?
Not much. How are you?
Not a lot. We are enjoying just a wonderful spring break week where we're working. But here we are. We love to do this for our clients, and Kim has been with us a few years now and has really done some good stuff. She's based locally. We'll talk about that here in a second. But Kim has demonstrated a real knack for photography, and not even using like equipment that you would think are on the sidelines of sports games. She does this using her phone. So we're going to talk a little bit about some tips and secrets that she has discovered over the years. We're going to show you a few examples of some awesome photography she's taken. But before we get into that, we've got to meet Kim. We got to know who this woman is. So Kim, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, and we'll go from there. And then I'll jump into some general questions. How about that?
My name's Kim Hague, like Brian said. I am, oh gosh, it's been almost 2 years since I've been with Believe. And I am one of the Florida locals. So I live about an hour and 15 minutes away from Disney, and we're on the East Coast. So we're, if you think Cocoa Beach, we're just south of there. So we are, we're about 10-15 minutes from the beach. So we have kind of the best of both worlds. We can get to Disney. It's an easy day trip. I honestly don't even think much about that, but it is nice to be able to pass that on to clients, because just kind of the ins and outs of, hey, here's the best spot to just relax. And here's where we let our kids run off steam, because, and I'll admit, we take things at a different pace. We are not rushed to see everything. We are annual pass holders. And we don't go. We don't have a full park day most of the time. We go, we do a few things, we relax, then we try to go the next time. So it's a different perspective. And I try to encourage people to just maybe adopt that a little bit, but totally understand we're here. This is once in a lifetime sometimes, and this is what we need to do. So just trying to incorporate that a little bit more. But
one of the best things about Kim, not just as an agent, but as a teammate, is just the way she is just so calm and cool and relaxed under pressure. Like whenever we're asking each other for advice, Kim just always has this gentle, soft, soothing voice that we're just like, oh, yes, everything's going to be okay. So if you are a client of hers, one, you'll just love just her ability just to say, everything's going to be good. It's a vacation. Don't stress, because Kim she'll never tell you this, but she is very unstressed when she's talking with us and giving us advice, right, Kim? It's always stress-free for you, right? Well,
hey, apparently I hide it well. So
you do hide it really well, Ben. But today we're talking about Kim and her photography skills. She actually took the picture of Figment behind me and sent it to me on a recent trip. She made me a special mask that I will always cherish. When we went down to our team trip a few months ago, I still wear it. People still compliment it. So she does a little bit of the side work, making some of those little fashionable knickknacks that you heard Christy talk about. So we may have to get Kim back on here and see how she can make you a mask one day. But for photography reasons, let's jump right into this, Kim. When did you kind of discover you had, I don't know if it's a love or just a interest in photography? It may not have been when you were at Disney. It may have just been a hobby growing up. When did you discover you really liked photography?
I remember on my honeymoon, we were at a Sandals in St. Lucia, and I remember just randomly taking pictures of all the flowers and like playing with, this is still you know, it was a digital camera, but it was still the, you had to put in the card and, the whole 9 yards, playing with that, realizing like, hey, there's a mode where it makes, here's the little flower and everything's, blurry behind it. And so when shortly after that, my husband encouraged me, he's like, why don't you, having the DSLR camera, the nice digital camera was still a new thing at that point. This was, what, 10 years ago. So I do have the big camera. I do have the big, nice camera. I just don't lug it around to Disney all the time. So I did take like a weekend kind of short course on, how to use that camera. So that's really the only like formal training I've had.
Right.
But it's helped because it does make me think about, I don't even want to say composition of it, but the different aspects of it. Like, hey, I want to make this stand out, but not this. And luckily, camera phones have come such a long way that,
Incredible.
I mean, I grabbed for that first before, honestly lugging around my big old camera with all the lenses. I still love that camera, but now that I'm chasing around a 4-year-old around Disney, it's not making the cut.
No, not at all. And that's the thing, a lot of our families who go down, they're going to have their traditional phone where they can take photos and all that nature. But they also can purchase the memory maker, and not to discredit the memory maker, but these days they have limited the photographers and some of the different spots that we may have had about 12 to 18 months ago. Do you still encourage people to do memory maker, or do you find that sometimes the quality of what you can get from your phone is just as good, minus of course on-ride photos and things like that? But as far as castle shots, still a good investment in your opinion right now, or use your phone?
I think it's still a good investment. Absolutely. Because especially with COVID, they will not, the cast members are not going to take a photo of you. They are not, and don't quote me. I think it's a policy, like they're not supposed to touch your phone right now. So if you want that family photo, there's really, you're either trusting a stranger that is not trained to use your phone, and doesn't know, maybe they have an iPhone too, or maybe they have an Android. But I mean, as an Android user, people look at my phone like it's Greek. So, which Androids have the better camera, hence why I like it. But I think it's definitely worth it because you're going to get the family photo. They're set up to be in the perfect spot. They're right dab in the middle of Main Street to get that castle photo. So I think you're still going to get quality photos. And even pre-COVID, it wasn't even the memory maker photographer, the PhotoPass photographer taking your photo with your camera. It was the assistant. So you still don't have someone that's necessarily trained to do photography. And I mean, some PhotoPass photographers are way more involved, more invested, in it, and you get amazing shots. Some, I mean, they're still good shots, but you definitely can tell the ones that you're like, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So I still recommend people get it. I think, having those, especially when you're taking a family vacation, they're invaluable. I mean, we have one associated with our annual pass, and I still have them take, shots of us so that we get the full family picture rather than just my child, or or just my husband and my son.
Yeah, and those memory makers, one of my greatest photos of my family is my wife and my 3 kids. They were much younger, hugging her on Mother's Day. It was just such a candid shot. It was great. And we're going to talk about candid shots here in just a second. But it is still a good value, $169. I mean, it's just that's why I wanted to ask you that question, is because so many people are like, well, I'll just take my phone and I'll just take it. Kim has said it best. They still are professionals. They still get those moments, and that will be the way where you get a good everybody in the family shot. Some of them are candid, of course. The on ride, they'll add the little magic stuff. So this is not to say don't pursue the memory maker package. Actually, pursue it, because we highly encourage. You'll get those memories. You'll still have those ones on your phone, but those are going to be invaluable. They really are. And I mean, those are going to be the ones that go on the mantle.
Yeah, they are. And, and they have the extra cute little magic shots where, you're holding Tink or Figment or, whatever. And a lot of them are specially themed for the time of year and whatnot. So even though sometimes they're a little cheesy, especially when you're like, hey, everyone look at my hand right here. But they're really cute, and they're
They
the
are.
things that, at least like my daughter absolutely loves seeing them. And those are the photos she has to see versus, like the really nice one that I maybe took of her,
Well, okay, so let's transition. Don't discredit the really nice ones that you take, because I have a few examples of ones that you take through the miracle of modern technology. We are going to share some of these photos that you took, and Kim, we're just going to go through and you're going to explain. And let's start with food. I love food. We are big food fans, especially when we go to food and wine festivals and stuff of that nature. So here is just something I would eat right now. Is that a cannoli? Is it a cannoli? What is this?
It was a salted caramel eclair, and I will say that personally, I thought it was a lot prettier than it tasted, and I like salted caramel. Like I like it, but this was one that I guess the phrase "I did it for the Instagram photo" comes into play. Because you're like, hey, it was supposed to be kind of Rapunzel themed.
Yes.
So that I definitely got it. I was like, yeah, this sounds like it could be good, but it definitely was more photogenic than it was delicious.
When you do food like this, are you doing anything special to make this look more delicious or yummier or bigger? Is there anything that you're trying to do, or is it just you're just trying to capture it at the right angle? When you're taking pictures of food, what is your ultimate goal here?
I mean, yeah, sometimes you try to highlight the thing that looks the most appetizing and appealing and whatnot. But when I'm on vacation, it's usually like, hey, I have this special treat and it's really neat, or it's one of those iconic things like a Mickey bar or a Mickey pretzel or anything of that sort. For this one, this is where like portrait mode is going to be your best friend. And if going into portrait mode on your camera and play with it. For mine, you have to like click on the thing that you want to have focused on. And so I got this somewhere in Fantasyland and took it over to the Rapunzel bathrooms, because that's where Rapunzel only gets
I see the bathrooms over to
bathroom.
the right. Those are great bathrooms, by the way. Another article.
And took a picture there because I was like, well, this is a Rapunzel treat. It needs to be in Rapunzel's area. So
that's right.
So that's what we went with there. But if you're trying to, you got the Mickey bar, pick something that's pretty in the background, where there's just flowers or the castle. You could do the castle, anything, but just keep in mind, if you have something that's more noticeable in the background, I usually do portrait mode because it focuses on the food. That's where everything else is kind of blurred behind, which is obviously you can see that this is the Rapunzel area, but it's not. So your eyes are trained to look at the food versus everything and getting confused of everything that's in the picture.
Well done for you for carrying something that yummy through the park and resisting the temptation to eat a bite or something. But good stuff there. That's a little bit about food. Now, now you've got structures, all right? And we could have done Cinderella's castle and all that, but the Hogwarts castle to me is just incredible. If you've ever been over to Universal Studios, and here you are, look at you at sunset. I mean, this is just amazing. Do you prefer shooting structures like this in the daytime versus the nighttime? Is there a difference to you?
So I don't like photographing things in the bright overhead sun. You're never going to get a good shot. So there's something called golden hour, which is an hour after sunrise and an hour before sunset. So that's where the light is more diffused because it's not shining right down at you. This one was actually sunset, so I think the sun probably had actually set. I think I probably took 30 pictures over the course of the 20 minutes that I was standing there, because I was waiting for a bunch of you guys riding a ride, and I was like, well, here I am. And this was a lucky shot. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, this is great.
And the next day we were in the same area, and the sky didn't look the same. So this was truly just one of those gorgeous Florida sunsets. And I try to, you can, if you're only going to be there in the bright of day, take the photo, get the photo, and there's ways to fix it later. But if you have the option, to have that golden hour, or even, I guess you call it blue hour, like right after the sun sets, that's definitely, makes a difference there.
Don't encourage the 7:30 in the morning outside of the Magic Kingdom winning into the sun Signed photo. It looks
Yeah.
good on paper, but the kids are going to be.
Yeah, and that's also, for this one, obviously, you're not trying, no one's in the picture, so you're not trying to fight the squinting sun or anything. If you're taking a picture of the castle and you see that, okay, everyone's squinting on this side. I mean, the nice thing about the castle is there's different sides of it. If you, depending on, I don't even remember what direction the Cinderella castle is facing,
Yeah.
Obviously, for the Hogwarts castle here, it faces east and west is behind it. But for Cinderella castle, I mean, you can go to both sides and get a great shot. So if you have that time of day to get a shot, you can always pick a different aspect of it so that everyone's not squinting, and you
Yeah.
can get a decent shot there.
And not to get all Bob Rossi photography 101 technical here, but I love, it's really broken up into thirds here. You got the sky, the trees, and then in the middle of the castle. And then you've mentioned portrait mode a few times. Is that kind of your go-to, the portrait mode, or do you prefer vertical, horizontal?
So like portrait mode is just more of it gives you what is called depth of field. So you have, something's in focus and everything, a point is in focus, and the things in front of that point and behind that point will be, more blurred out. For this, I mean, I take a lot of photos and post them on Instagram. So my brain's also thinking like, well, if I was cropping this to a square, where is that going to crop?
Yeah.
So, just something, if you are big on Instagram or something like that, that's what's going to happen to your photo. And this, I do probably do more vertical than horizontal, but sometimes I'll grab it that way. It's definitely not inclusive of it either way. So this one, I didn't even have it in portrait mode, because if you want to get, a big landscape or, a lot of different, the whole field that you're looking at in focus, you're just going to go into your standard, photo. Now, at least with my camera, when you tap on things, it will focus on it in terms of color and like what's bright and what's dark. So that's something you just have to play with. If I had, poked or chosen the sun area, like where the sunset was going, it would have made everything else look pretty dark, just because it alters the brightness of it. So that's something we just got to, poke at and play with and see. And that's, I mean, one big thing, don't make the first time that you play with your camera phone be on vacation. Play with it at home before you go. Otherwise you're going to be like, I don't know what to do. Or, be messing with it, while you're missing, potentially a good shot.
Listen, that's the expert tip right there. Just go ahead and start playing at home right now. Go outside in that golden hour in your neighborhood and try to just capture your front yard or something like that. Well, we go from the absolutely stunning to the absolutely adorable. I love that you gave me this one. I asked for a picture of a ride. Of course, we all know Dumbo. But this little child in the front just completely mesmerized by what's going on. This, the Dumbo ride itself is so iconic and it's so great for all ages. Before we even get to the cuteness of this, I know when I try to take a photo of something, obviously this is Dumbo in flight. Mine may look blurry, because it's moving. Is there a feature, or is there something that you're doing with your phone or settings to capture this as though Dumbo is literally floating above your little girl's head?
Now, if I look back to see if it stored any information, like if I had any certain mode on, and
right.
I mean, I look back because I'm terrible about deleting old, the old photos out of my phone.
Yeah.
I look back and I had taken a bunch of shots when I took this one. And so there were some that were blurry. This one just happened to be, the right moment. But I believe it's called burst mode on an iPhone.
Burst mode, absolutely.
You can take that. If you use burst mode, you can go back then and choose which moment, that because it basically is just that pinpoint second that you want in there. So that works well for, shots like this, where this is in motion. It works well for jumping photos. If you're trying to get someone in air, stuff like that. So burst mode is definitely your friend with this. And in general, a lot of times just with kids and whatnot, because they're constantly moving.
Exactly. No, I'm surprised she's still with it as long. But then again, I'd be amazed at Dumbo too. And this is a good, just candid shot. And you didn't pose her in any way. She just was kind of there. Do you enjoy more of the candid shots more so than pose?
Yes. I mean, that's just me, because I'm always the one that just has my camera out and, to the point where sometimes my daughter sees me doing, she's like, Mom, stop taking a picture, because she just doesn't want, she gets angry at me or, frustrated when I'm catching, on the sly, a photo of her, but she's also gotten used to it. That's just the 4-year-old sass coming out. But, I always seem to have it out and just, taking a few photos, and then I just go about my day. There are some where I want the styled, or not even styled, the moment of, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to take the photo. But I'd say probably 90% of them, I just take candidly. And I let the big posed ones, I let PhotoPass do the big posed ones for me.
Yeah, you say that, but then again, there is no way this just was a candid shot. I mean, look at the inspiration.
No,
this every father wants to do this at some point, and mother too. But I mean, this is just go through this, because this is just so much fun. I could laugh and look at this all day.
This is a shot so Grace's first trip to Disney was actually to Epcot. So this is when she was like 1.5, but when she was probably 6-9 months old, her first trip was during Flower and Garden, and it was kind of like, hey, let's have the baby, hold of the baby. So we got a picture like that. And so now it's a yearly thing we have to do. Unfortunately, we didn't get it last year due to COVID, but that's going to be the black mark in our series. But my husband jokes that he's going to have to stay fit enough that he can lift her up over her.
That's no easy feat. Yeah, that's shoulder work too, by the way.
Yeah. But she was like 1.5 years there, and then we have one from the following year where she wasn't quite as enthused to be up there. But I told her, you're gonna have to take this picture this year. You got to cooperate. But
and there's the thing, as we start winding down here, these are great photos of one person, 2 people. Do you prefer to do a minimum number of people, or do you feel you have the skills enough to do a group of 7, 10, 15? Basically, do you prefer less people or more people on your photos?
I prefer less. I mean, if you're traveling with a big group, sometimes you want the big group photo because you want to document that everyone was together. Something to keep in mind when you have a really big group, if you're trying to get, say the castle in the background, you're going to have, in order to fit everybody there, you're going to have either a shot that's zoomed more in to fit the group and not get much of the background, or you're going to have the big group and not be able, and the full castle and not be able to see everyone. You're gonna have tiny people, so you do have to realize that that's going to be the trade-off when you have a big group. Not to say it's impossible, and absolutely, when you have maybe that multi-generational trip, or you finally have the whole family, or like in our case, we had a big team trip and we wanted everyone there. It's a trade-off. But if I had my preference, I like the handful of people and doing shots like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of bridal party posing and getting into windows if you have those large groups, for sure. And
yeah, absolutely.
I threw this one in there for fun. Again, another candid one on a ride, and just the genuine excitement of a child. And I mean, it's fun. It's the teacups, and we're having a good time. A spinner or no spinner on the teacups before I go to the last picture?
I'm a no spinner because I get motion sick.
We will ride together next time.
My husband and daughter are spinners. So sometimes and that's when I take a lot of photos of them, because if I pay attention to the fact that I'm spinning, I get sick. So sometimes I'll just take focus on one of them, take photos.
Right.
So we have a lot of teacup photos, I will say that. And some
That's
of
cool.
them are better than others, but yeah, this one was a cute one.
So another good hint from Kim: if you want to ride on the teacups and you don't want to get sick, focus on taking photos instead of the ride fair. Brilliant, brilliant. But you know, we live in COVID times, and now taking photos with mask is part of it. Encouragement or advice. This is obviously you are now in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Tips for people and how they can pose and smile through their eyes, if you will, as we wear these masks. What advice do you have, or is there anything that you can just say to make these mask photos that everybody's gonna go, oh, I don't want to be at Disney with a mask, but it's policy and it's the rules. So how can you still make it a good photo, Kim?
I mean, you're gonna have the mask on, it's gonna happen. And I mean, I guess I just look at it as we're gonna have, 2 years probably worth of mask photos, and that's gonna be like, hey, remember when this was, the norm?
Yeah.
But that also coming from someone that goes to Disney enough that it's just gonna be a blip on the radar, I guess, for very much simplifying it, obviously.
Right.
But
No, and that's how I look at it. I look at it as, back in the day we wore bell bottoms, or we wore
this is
like
this was
the
our
80s cut off jean shorts.
Yeah, this is our fashion trend for this. And having a mask that you like, if you match it to your outfit, if you can, they've become a fashion accessory, at this point into things. But for me, it's been, choosing fun backgrounds, finding fun places to get photos where the mask isn't the first thing that you look at. You're like, oh, that's a cool background, and that's a cool spot, or having the castle. And honestly, you're not going to look at the mask that much. When you're closer and locked in there, yeah, you might see the mask. When you're sitting at dinner and eating, sometimes you can get an unmasked photo. That is where, even though the character dining is a more limited viewing, you're taking selfies essentially, or taking a picture of your kiddo while the character makes an appearance behind them. But that is one opportunity to get an unmasked photo, because you can be unmasked while you're dining, and the characters do tend to come around when you have your food in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's one option, and there is value in having those experiences. I don't encourage at all taking down your mask just to get the photo. I don't know. It's just, it goes against the rule. I'm a rule follower. What can I say? That's just my personality.
That's the thing.
type.
We are thankful that Disney is open. We missed it when it was closed. So if they want us to wear masks, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and we'll just kind of go about our way.
That's what it boils down to. I'm just happy to be there. And so, if that's the case, that's what we're going to do.
That's right. Well, I mean, you have done such a good job explaining these and walking us through. We appreciate you sharing your talents and all. And of course, with my buddy, other hand, Figment behind me there, just any final advice. I'm running your information at the bottom, by the way, just in case people want to get in touch with you, not only for tips and trades, but obviously, again, she's a wonderful planner. She's been doing this for a few years now, and she's one of our favorites, and our team love her. And anybody that uses her services, whether it's locals or people from out of town that say she knows what's going on down there, Kim is always very magical. We always talk about the magic doesn't start the minute you see the castle. It starts when you meet one of our agents. And Kim is no exception. She really is a rule to that, because she just has that knack for just people and making sure that they have that extra special magic. So Kim, I guess to close, if I'm sitting here and I'm not the best photographer in the world, how do I get started? What do I do? What do you encourage me to, Brian, here's what you should do. What do you say?
Just play with it. Just, and take lots of photos. I mean, it's digital. You can erase it. If it doesn't turn out, you can erase it. It's not, that you're looking at the film hoping, when you get home that it's going to be a good shot, and you don't want to take 10 shots because you can't waste that film. We have that luxury. If it doesn't, if you don't have willing subjects, hey, I have a lot of photos of kids running out of frame. I'm not gonna lie, they're not all perfect. This is definitely the highlight reel.
Right.
But It definitely, it just takes practice. Just get used to your phone, get used to, what's there. I like portrait mode. Just getting used to when you touch certain things, do certain things come in focus. I guess the other thing is turn your flash off.
Ooh.
You don't need your flash. I mean, yes, if you're taking a photo in the dark, that's different. It's still not the best photo. If you have a camera that has night sight or something in that, you're going to get a far better photo. But during the day, I just turn my flash off. Like, it is not on at all. If I needed it for some reason, I'll turn it on. But that's one other thing. Yeah, turn your flash off.
I agree with you 100%. Let that natural light do its work.
Yes.
Our phones are good enough for it these days.
Yeah.
And all, but we were thinking about it, and Kim, thank you for all your advice today. Maybe in the future, me and you, we sit back down and we look how to doctor up your photos, edit your photos, maybe touch them up a little bit. So we might do that in the near future. But again, I appreciate you sharing your life with us in photos and giving us some wonderful tips and stuff. And hopefully it has impacted you. And the next time that you're at Disney, or you're just at the ballpark, or you're at the park, or just wherever, just how Kim's advice as far as just different settings modes can help you take those wonderful photos. And then of course, when you are at Disney World, capturing some magic that will stay with you forever, as these photos no doubt will always stay with Kim. Kim, thank you so much for everything you do for us, not just today, but for the Believe Vacation team, for your clients and all. I will see you sometime soon, but for the rest of you, we will see you real soon.